Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. For today's video we've got a two-part tutorial that's Easter themed, so we'll be doing this little chick and this bunny with the little tail. So first we're going to be making the chick, which is quite simple, beginner friendly, and then ever so slightly more advanced is the bunny. I will leave any timestamps in the description if you just want to skip to the bunny, for example. But yeah, let's get into it. So for the chick, we're working from the bottom up, and we'll be using some yellow chenille yarn, 6mm hook. I'm starting off with a slip knot, and then I'm going to single crochet 6 into a circle. So I've just chained 2, and then in the furthest chain from the hook I'm making 6 single crochets. So here is the start of our amigurumi, and if you need any more detail or further tutorials on the basics, you can find those in my Crochet Basics playlist, which is in the description box too. So next we're going to increase into every stitch. So to do that, we're just doing a single crochet twice in each stitch all the way around. So now I have 12 stitches in total, and I've placed a stitch marker in the last stitch just to signify the end of my round. So for the next round I'm doing 1 single crochet and then an increase, so 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and repeat that same pattern all the way around. So we'll be doing that 6 times in total. Here we go, now we have 18 stitches in total, and similarly now we're going to do 2 single crochets and then an increase around 6 times again. So now we've got 24 stitches total. I'm going to move my stitch marker up, and next we're going to do 2 rows or 2 rounds of plain single crochet, so no increases. And to single crochet, all we do is we're placing the hook through the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, then yarn over again and pull through both those loops. Super simple. So we'll keep on going around all 24 stitches for 2 rounds. Here we are. So next round we're going to do 2 single crochets and then a decrease. So to do that I'm going into the first stitch and pulling up a loop, but instead of finishing off the single crochet I'm going into the next loop and pulling up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So we're going to repeat that 6 times in total. So 2 single crochet and a decrease. Like I say, if you need any further instruction or you're new to some of these stitches, there's a playlist in the description for you. There we are, so we're back to 18 stitches in the round, and next we're going to do 1 single crochet, decrease. So 1 single crochet, decrease like before. So we've done that 6 times total to make 12 stitches in the round. There we are, here's how it's looking. Now next, this round is slightly trickier if you're new. So we're going to do plain single crochet but in the front loops only. When I put my hook through the stitch normally, there are 2 loops. Back one and the front one. So instead of going through both loops like normal, you're just going to catch the front loop. And do this all the way around. If you are a beginner and you're struggling with this, you're fine just to do a plain round, just going through both loops. Don't worry about doing front loops only. There we are, and then we're doing one more round of plain single crochets through both loops this time, not just through the front. All the way around, just plain single crochet. So now we're ready to close up, but before we do that, we're just going to stuff the lower half of the body. So I'm using some fibre filling. But if you don't have this, you can use yarn scraps or fabric scraps. I'm just going to stuff the bottom firmly so that it's got a nice squish, but there's no gaps. And then we are going to do our last round of the chick. So this time I'm going to make 6 decreases all the way around. There we are. So now I'm going to cut my yarn and fasten off there. And I'm going to stuff the top part now. Now to stitch up the top, I'm just going to take a yarn needle, thread the yarn on that we fastened off, and what I'm going to do is go under each stitch around the top. So there should be 6 stitches left over. So I'm going under each and threading this yarn through. You can just pull that tight, and then I'm going to hide the end away inside the piece, cut off that excess. Here we are, so here's our basic shape, and now we're ready to embroider some features on. I'm going to be using a little bit of orange yarn, and also I'll be using some black and white double knit as well for the eyes, but you can use safety eyes if you like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a horizontal line across the face to be the beak. Tie the ends off and cut the excess like so. So you can make the beak however big or small you like. Now I'm going to use some black double knit yarn to make the eyes. So I'm going to place mine at either side of the beak. So I'm just making some vertical stitches here. And I'm doing the same on the other side as well. Now you can leave the eyes like this if you like, or as I said, you can use safety eyes if you prefer. But I like to add some little highlights just find it adds a little bit of character. So I'm using white double knit, just layering one stitch over the top of the eyes to add like a little glint. Here we are. So I'm just going to tie up those ends and then we're all finished with the chick. So here's our finished chick. It's a super quick and easy project for Easter. So let's move on to the bunny rabbit. This one is ever so slightly more advanced because there's a couple of additional stitches to consider, the main one being the little bobble stitch at the back. But if you are a beginner and want to have a go, you can always do it without the bobble tail. But yeah, let's get started on this one then. So we start off very similar as before with a slip knot. I'm using white yarn, but you could use cream or brown or, I mean, any colour you fancy really. So again, I'm single crocheting 6 into a ring. If you're more familiar with crochet, you can also do a magic loop if you prefer, a magic ring. Here we are, so we have our 6 stitches, and again we're going to do 6 increases. Here's our 12 stitches again, and I'm going to place my stitch marker at the end of the row. For the next round we're doing same again as last time, single crochet, increase, and repeat that a total of 6 times. Here we are, we've got our 18 stitches total here. I'm going to move my stitch marker up, and next is just going to be a round of plain single crochet. Here we are, so here is the bottom of our bunny, and next we're going to form the tail. So we're going to do this by making a bobble stitch. I do have a brief tutorial on this if you need a little bit more help. So it starts as if you're going to do a double crochet. So you yarn over and then place your hook through the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then pull through the first 2 stitches, but instead of completing the double crochet, so you would yarn over and pull through these 2, instead of doing that, you're going to yarn over and place the hook back into the same stitch as before and repeat the process. Pull through the first 2, and we're going to do this a total of 4 times. That's 3, and then 4. So now we should have a total of 5 loops on your hook. And to finish off that bobble stitch, you're going to yarn over and pull through all 5 loops. This will make your tail. And then we're just going to complete this round just with plain single crochets. If you need a more in-depth tutorial on the bobble stitch, you can find that in the description box. So here you can see where the little bobble tail is, and next we're just going to do 4 rounds of plain single crochet. So when you work into your bobble stitch, you're just working into the top of the stitch, so it'll just be in line with the rest of your single crochets. So that's 4 rounds of plain single crochet. So there's my 4 rounds of plain single crochet, and next round we are doing 1 single crochet, decrease 6 times. There we are, and we're back to a stitch count of 12. So now I'm doing another round of plain single crochet with no decreases. Next round will be 1 single crochet, 1 increase, all the way around 6 times. So we're back up to 18 stitches in the round, and then we've got another 3 rounds of plain single crochet. Okay, so now we are ready to close up the head. Before we do so, we're just going to stuff the body again. So make sure the body is nice and firm and squishy with no gaps. So to finish off the head, we're going to do 1 single crochet and a decrease 6 times around. And we're back to a stitch count of 12, and then we can finish off with 6 decreases around. Okay, so here we are, we finished the head, so I'm going to snip the yarn and fasten off, and then I'm going to stuff the head. You can also stuff the head before the last round if you find it easier. Just going to stitch up the top closed as before, and then we'll embroider the facial features and make the ears, and then we should be all finished. To embroider the nose, I'm going to use some light pink yarn. It's looking a bit paler on camera, but yes, so make sure the tail is at the back, obviously. So I'm making these horizontal stitches again, but this time not as wide as the beak, so that it has a more button nose effect. I'm also going to use a little bit of pink double knit to put 1 vertical stitch coming underneath the nose to give more of that bunny nose effect. For the eyes, I'm doing the same as before with my vertical stitches, but this time I'm doing them slightly higher up from the nose. And I'm going to add the white highlights after this as well. And then we'll make the ears. You can embroider the face after you've made the ears and sewn them on. It's just personal preference really. So now we have our face embroidered on. I'm just going to set this to one side and we can make the ears. So I'm starting with my white yarn again and a slip knot. And this time I'm going to chain 7 stitches. Here's our chain of 7, and then I'm going to skip the first 2 chains from the hook, and in the 3rd chain from the hook I'm going to make a half double crochet, and then in the next 3 stitches I'm going to make half double crochets. And now in the last stitch, I'm just going to make a single crochet. There we are, and that is the ear finished. If you need to know how to do half double crochets, again I'll refer you to the Crochet Basics playlist. I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving some tail to sew these onto the top of the head and then fasten off. There we are, and I'm just going to make one more of those and we'll sew them to the top of the bunny rabbit's head. And here's our second bunny rabbit ear. So to recap, it's chain 7, 4 half double crochets and 1 single crochet, then fasten off with a long tail. So now I'm going to sew these to the top of the head. So I'm going to do mine pointing upwards. If you want, you could also do them facing downwards, a bit more of a lop-eared look. But I've threaded my needle with the long tail that we left, and I'm going to position the ears how I'd like them, and then I'm just going to attach them. Some very basic stitching, nothing special, just want to make sure that they are properly secured. So I'm sewing into the back and into the front. I've tucked this tail end away, and what I like to do is, with the cast on end, I'm going to thread that onto my needle and also tuck that in, and I'll tie these off to secure them. And then I'm going to cut the excess. Here we are, and we can do the same again with the second ear too. And here's our finished bunny rabbit. You could also put a little stitch to make one of the ears flop forward if you wanted, or just leave them as they are. And this is how it looks. Yeah, so another quick, fairly simple tutorial for a nice Easter project. And there we have it, 2 quick and simple crochet projects for Easter. These would make sweet gifts. They're something a bit different from the usual chocolate eggs. And here we have the finished Easter projects. If you'd like a written version of this pattern, please let me know in the comments. I know some people prefer written versions of patterns. Drop a like and a subscribe if you'd like to see more from me. And yeah, if you decide to make any of these, feel free to tag me on social media. I'll leave those links in the description box. Thanks, bye!